Welcome to the Manifestation Babe podcast. My name is Catherine Zinkina, and I'm a manifestation expert, master mindset coach, and multiple seven-figure entrepreneur. I'm obsessed with helping you achieve everything that you once thought was impossible. If you're looking to massively up-level your life, your finances, your relationships, your productivity and success, then you have come to the right place. My goal in this podcast is to help you see the infinite potential within yourself to be, do, and have anything that your heart desires. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of mindset development to help you maximize who you are and where you're going. Leave it to me to provide you with the tools, the resources, the strategies, and teachings that you need to manifest a reality wilder than your wildest dreams. I know we're about to have so much fun together, so thank you so much for pushing play today. And now let's begin. All right, you guys, welcome back to the Manifestation Babe podcast. I am so excited to be sharing another episode with you. And before I get started, I just want to thank you again. I know there are literally a bazillion different podcasts and episodes to choose from, and I do not take it lightly that you chose to download this episode today. So thank you so much. So I want to share a two-parter with you, and this is going to be a two-parter episode, mainly because I have two stories that align with the exact same message. As I'm recording this right now, I have no idea what I titled this podcast, but to summarize what this is going to be about, I'm going to share with you a story about the day my website disappeared into the abyss and what that meant for my business. I want to share with you a play-by-play of how I was feeling, the interpretation of the meaning that I gave that event versus how I could have given the interpretation, how I could have given the meaning to that event versus how most people probably would have determined what that event meant, and how that led me to where I am today. And this is inspired by a question that I get asked on a regular basis. Now, I hang out a lot more on Instagram than I do in my Facebook group, just because that is where my energy is flowing right now. I know that in 2017, I was all about my Facebook group, which is why it grew to such an enormous size of almost 60,000 people. I think that's where it's at. It's either between 55 and 60,000. And now my Instagram is growing pretty rapidly and quickly, and I'm loving talking with each and every single one of you on my Instagram. And I realize that wherever I pour my energy into is what grows. Ha, 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 right? Law of attraction, what you focus on expands, which is such a beautiful side message around growing your business. If you put your love and heart and energy and soul and your mission behind your business, it just has to grow, right? Slap some belief into it, really believe that it's going to succeed, really believe that the inevitability of the success of your business is there. And by law of attraction, by laws actually of the universe, it has to grow, right? So this question that I always get on my Instagram lately is, Catherine, is there ever a sign from the universe to give up on something? And I know that a lot of my beautiful souls on social media look up to me as someone who is a business role model. And I am not a business coach. I'm not going to be here to share with you tactics and practicalities and strategies around business, because I really focus on mindset, and I really do apply manifestation to my business. And yes, there's tons of strategy, but it is never derived out of nowhere. It is always derived from my mindset and my team's mindset and what we are intuitively aligned with and what is behind our mission. And then we pick strategy from there. Right? So it always comes from mindset. And I am not a business coach because I'm not here to teach business strategy. However, I actually have someone who is my go-to, who I am so happy to share with you. I've said his name a million times, and I'm actually partnering with him this summer to give you the best business freaking course that ever existed, along with a ton of my manifestation bonuses. So you're going to get the MB Manifestation Babe experience around this course, and it's actually going to be a double live event too, which I will discuss more towards the end of this episode. So you definitely want to listen through the entire episode to learn how you can get on the wait list as soon as possible, because these podcasts are really inspired by this course. And I want to share with you a lot of my ups and downs in business and my beliefs behind business and how I've been able to manifest a multiple six-figure business in just 3 years. Actually, if we want to be specific, it's been, 3 years and 3 months, right? But as my mentors always tell me, Catherine, you regularly break like industry records. Like, we have never seen this growth. You've done this without funnels. What? You've done this without having a team of 10 all along? What? And they're just always amazed. And I want to share with you everything, like all of the beliefs and all of the manifestation strategies behind how I've gotten here, and then partner with someone to literally teach you funnels, literally teach you webinars, teach you how to, post, how to pick your niche, how to build a course, how to slap it all together, how to put it out into the universe. And both of us actually know that if your mindset is not in order, and if you don't get this principle correct, the one that I'm about to share with you today that inspired this podcast and that inspired the 2 stories that I'm going to share with you, then you just simply will not be successful. You will be wasting so much of your time and energy and focus just putting things out there and not getting the return that you absolutely deserve. Not just desire, but actually deserve, because your success is already inevitable. And if you have any desire to build a business, if you have any desire to build a business, then you were meant for it. Let me repeat that again. If you have a desire in your heart to build a business, I don't care if it's brick and mortar, online business. I know that I can only speak for online business. So literally when it comes to brick and mortar, I'm like so lost. It's not even funny. That is a totally different, what am I trying to say? What's the word? Fuck it. I'm just going to use something simpler. It's a totally different ballgame, right? And it's not that it is completely entirely different in the basics of the principles of business, which is, hey, find an audience or find a group of people and sell them what they want, solve their problem for them. But in terms of like inventory and making sure people show up on time and, making sure that employees who are sick are being covered by other employees, and the list goes on. Like, I obviously don't know how to do that. But when it comes to online business or just any desire that you have in your heart, it was placed in your heart for a reason. It means you were designed for it. It means that you already have the resourcefulness and everything you need inside of you to make it happen. I won't say resources, because not all of us have access to the same exact resources, but we have the ability to attract the same resources in very similar ways. That's why I always say that the resourcefulness is inside of you. And as long as you recognize that the resourcefulness is inside of you, and that drive is inside of you, and that power is inside of you, and that magnet is inside of you, then you will absolutely manifest the people, the events, the circumstances, the ideas, because really business and money is about monetizing ideas, right? So you will be given everything you need as long as you understand that you are meant for it the moment that you desire it, okay? So the question I get is, does the universe ever give you a sign to give up on something? And this always comes from people who get very frustrated. And they're frustrated because their webinars aren't converting, or their Instagram isn't growing, or their audience just doesn't care what they're talking about, or something happened, right? God forbid something got deleted, or God forbid, like they got sick and they weren't able to work on their business for many, many months, which I can totally relate to that. And I feel very blessed and very lucky that I already had a successful business in place before I had to pretty much take so much time off, not on purpose, but like I essentially took a lot of time off when I got sick. And all of these things happen, right? These external circumstances that we cannot control, we cannot predict, they are just a part of life. And as long as we see them happening for us, then they are happening for us. But as long as we see it as something that's happening against us, then guess what? We will always create evidence and proof that it's happening against us. And so when I get this question, does the universe ever give you a sign to give up on something? Like when something is not working out, right? Like your business is just not taking off. Does that mean that you are not meant for it? And I always say there is no such thing. Okay, I repeat, there is no such thing ever as a sign to give up. Okay? The only way that you can fail, and so many of you are so afraid of failure, right? That is like the biggest thing when I ask, what is holding you back in your life, in your business, in your relationships, in your manifesting, right? General, any kind of manifestation that you are currently working on or currently attracting into your life, because manifestation is not working on something. It's literally attracting and receiving something. Everyone always says, I'm afraid to fail. And here is the thing, okay? This is such an important thing that I want you to know, which is failure is a part of success, okay? It is not separated. They are not two things. They're not two options. They're not two choices. They're not two paths. They are one and one, hand in hand on the exact same path. And if you are someone who succeeds, you're probably someone who has failed as well. If you're someone who has failed, your success is still inevitable because you are still on that path. You are on the path of your heart. You are on the path of your soul. You're on the path of your mission, and success and failure go hand in hand. And here is the biggest thing I want you to know. When you work hard on avoiding failure, you work just as hard on avoiding success. I'm going to repeat that again because I really want you to get it. When you work hard on avoiding failure, you also work just as hard at avoiding success. And I already know, or at least you know, what that means to you when I say work on avoiding failure. You might be perfectionistic. You might be working or waiting for the perfect time to start a business, or the perfect day of the month to do a webinar, or the perfect post in the perfectly crafted sentence. And you're waiting to start your podcast until you've hired a voice coach and someone to help you speak eloquently and perfectly. And I always want to be an example to you that if I can do something and I can succeed with something, so can you. And I hope that at least my more casual stuff, like my more casual personal Instagram posts or the way that I record my podcast in such a casual format is a sign that you get to be yourself and still be successful. You get to be yourself and still be a role model. You get to fail. You get to embarrass yourself. You get to be vulnerable. You get to be scared and still be a success. The only way to really fail, and there's still an option and there's still a way to fail. And I know that this is not your path, but in case you're going down that path, I want to stop you right now because that is not your path. True failure is giving up. True failure is giving up because the moment that you give up, you tell the universe, you know what? Stop helping me. I'm done over here. You stop attracting everything that you need to help you get to that level. And if you only saw that failure was just a lesson learned, or just the universe sending you a sign to persevere or to do something different or to try a different way of doing things, or maybe try a different niche. Like I always knew in a way, even with my Beachbody business, my other online business that I started before Manifestation Babe, even though I actually don't look at I don't look at it as like I gave it up. because really I just transferred myself from Beachbody to Manifestation Babe. And so I'm really doing the exact same thing, you guys. I used to preach manifestation to my team. I know a lot of my former Beachbody team follows me here now on my podcast and Manifestation Babe, and they're always amazed with how far I've come. And they also recognize that I've literally, the crazy stuff that I used to spew at them was actually correct and was actually right. And now they're ready to learn it, which is so funny. But where was I going with this? I don't know why I brought in Beachbody, but essentially, Okay, so I literally always knew that I was meant for online business, and I just never gave up. And the universe just gave me another avenue or another niche or another type of business or another way of doing things. And that is why I'm here. It's not like I ever gave up along the path. And I wanted to give up so many times, you guys. When I was working my 9-to-5 job, living at my step grandma's apartment. So I don't know if you guys know this part of the story, but I went from my grandma's couch to my other grandma, who just around that time moved to Seattle, Washington to live with my parents, and her apartment opened up for me and Brennan. And we moved in for about 6 months. Thankfully, we were rent-free because we didn't have that much money for rent, and just paid utilities and paid for food and paid for gas and stuff like that, like the basics that my parents asked us to pay. And that is where we lived while I was working my 9-to-5 job, right before I went full-time with Manifestation Babe. And when I went full-time with Manifestation Babe, it was right around the time when we finally made enough money to move into a studio apartment. And I remember working on my 9-to-5 job, and I remember there's a specific day where I was sitting in front of a computer printing out labs. I worked at a medical office, and I was printing out labs to give to my boss, or doing something, faxing something, printing something, I don't remember. But I was in the area where the fax machine was. And I got a text from my ex-boyfriend, and literally, I'm not even like, you can't make this up. I get a text, and he was basically just saying, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I'm doing great. How are you? And literally wrote out this long essay about how amazing he's doing and how basically insinuating how much I'm missing out on by breaking up with him. And he showed me he took a picture of the ring he got for his girlfriend that he's going to propose to in Paris, and like literally laid out the whole proposal story for me and how romantic it's going to be and how amazing it's going to be. And, you know, how much money he's making now, and the fact that he just bought a new car and he's moving into, I mean, the list goes on, and I'm not even making this up. And I remember looking at my computer at the time, looking at my phone, looking at my computer, looking at my phone and being like, wow, like, is this really my life? Like, how the F did I get here? And I wanted nothing more than give up, because I was already working 18 hours a day, literally 9 hours at my job. And then I spent 3 hours in the morning, my lunch break, and then another, pretty much from when I would get home at 6 p.m. till midnight, I'd be working on my business, wake up at 6 a.m., do it all over again, go to work, do a lunch break, do a power hour during my lunch break, and really just, I committed myself to learning how to create a business out of the knowledge that I've accumulated over the last 10 years, out of my mission, out of my passion, out of my ability to take risks and teach other people that failure is never a thing. It is only a lesson learned. And I was just so committed to sharing this message. And at that time, I was like, wow, is this even worth it? Right? And so fast forward about 6 months from that moment, we were still in that grandma's apartment. So her name was Clara, and she now lives with my parents, and actually my grandparents, the one whose couch I lived on, is now in her apartment. And that's just how Russian families are. We just help each other out, and we just trade apartments and stuff like that. And it was finally my first real launch of Manifestation Babe in December of 2016. And I had pre-sold some spots. So finally, around this time, you know, those 18-hour days every single day of just never giving up, because I knew that every successful person that I modeled at that time kept telling me, Do not give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. You never know when that day is going to come. Well, guys, that day came, right? At least a mini version of that day came, because there's been so many more amazing days than what I'm about to share with you. But this day also led me to almost giving up again, right? Or at least entertaining that thought. Or at least entertaining the thought that the universe is giving me a sign that I am not meant for this. I mean, in all of 2016, I made $9,000. So up until December of 2016, all that MB in the entire year has made was $9,000. And it was just a collection of these mini courses that I was selling for about $35. And I think I picked up 2 one-on-one clients like the month prior. And so the bulk of my income probably came from that, to be honest, my one-on-one clients. But anyway, I launched a course and I pre-sold it, which means, and I do this to this day. So if you've ever came into my first launch of Rich Babe or my first launch of MBA, I haven't, I sell the content first and then see if it's even viable, if there are people who want it, if there are people who are committed to doing the work. And then as the course goes on, I create it and customize it to my students, which is so cool because you can actually in lifetime get to know what they really want and then customize each module to your students. And if you're not doing that right now, and if you are spending a lot of time, creating, and then selling, you're going to burn yourself out. And I've done that before. And so this is my first time I've ever pre-sold content. And I was just so stoked about it. And I ended up selling 50 spots. Okay. This was a 10K launch. And this was like the first week of my life. And I'll never forget it. It was New Year's Eve between 2016 and 2017. Brennan saved up all his money, all his little paychecks from his catering from his catering job to take me to Las Vegas for our 1-year anniversary. And when we went to Vegas was right around the time where I had all these emails lined up, right? Guys, I'm raising the price, early bird, get into my course. I'm going to teach you this and I'm going to teach you that. And all of a sudden, it was like the floodgates opened and I generated 10K that week. And I literally thought that I was going to poop my pants because, to remind you guys, I've never seen more than $2,000 in my bank account, or at least in a single month coming through in my entire life. And all of a sudden I made 10K in a week. Like, what? And the following month, so fast forward just 1 month, January 2017, I was finally finished creating the content. And I did it a little differently this time. And I do it differently now than how I did it this time, where I actually created the content, pre-recorded it, but still pre-sold it, if that makes sense. So the day came to where I was supposed to release the content and my students were so excited and I was just hyping it up and I put them all in the Facebook group, as I still do right now. And I was like, guys, giving them a countdown, telling them that it's coming. I was so excited. And I was literally so proud of this course because it was my in-depth, in detail, step-by-step course on how to build a course. Because if you guys, I don't know if I shared this, but up until this point, I've created a few master classes and a lot of people who wanted to create similar things were asking me how I created my courses. And so I decided to create a course sharing my step-by-step system. And this is when I would call myself, the way that some business coaches call themselves, like a business coach, like I was focused on helping entrepreneurs, but I was still never really focused that much on strategy. But this was my first course teaching strategy and then also applying the mindset. And it was so in-depth, took me literally 3 weeks to create it, working on it for hours and hours a day, every single day. I remember some modules didn't get recorded for some reason, the screen share part stopped working. And I didn't know until I stopped talking for after 2 hours with a sore throat, realizing that my course just, never got recorded. You can hear my voice, but you can't see anything that I'm doing, which is a big problem. So anyway, the day came when I finally got to press publish. It was a Sunday night and Monday was just around the corner, which meant that I was about to go back to work. And I was so committed to releasing this on, I don't remember if it was like January 7th, 2017 or somewhere around there. Pick a random Sunday towards the beginning of January. And I was so excited, and I had like this whole mission to release it so that I can go to work and just be stress-free and not worry about my course anymore. It is done. I'm going back to work, and then I can just focus on supporting my students. And so mind you, I had like 10 hours of content on my website, locked and loaded, ready to go. And I hit the publish button, and I waited and I waited and I waited. The website, my website, refreshed, the page refreshed. And then it went white. And I remember looking at it and then pushing refresh again, really confused, like, oh no, the internet went out. And so I checked my internet. It was still there, still on. I hit refresh again, nothing, like white, not even an error message, nothing, like completely white blank page. I don't think I've ever seen this in my entire life before, ever going to someone else's website. You know, like if a website isn't working, it'll have some sort of error message, or like, I don't even know if this is the right code, but like, let's say 401 error or 404, I think it's 404. Or it'll be like, you know, server not established, or there's some writing, but no, it was completely white. And panicking, I call my host, which was Bluehost at the time. And I expressed, you know, what happened. And I said, my website isn't working, blah, 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 blah. I shared with them, you know, that I just hit publish on a course and I was so excited and my website isn't working, but I know it's supposed to be working. So can you please get it back online? And the lady said, yeah, hold on one moment. Let me just look into it. And so I was put on hold. She looked up the website, probably came to the same conclusion as I did, where the website's white. There's nothing on there. I literally thought it was just my laptop. So I checked my phone, I checked Brennan's phone, I checked Brennan's laptop. I disconnected from the Wi-Fi, you know, used normal LTE to check it. Nothing, white everywhere. And the lady came back on the phone and she said, are you sure there was ever a website here? Excuse me, what? She's like, it's literally as if there's never been a website here. I don't see any records. I don't see any traces. I don't see anything. You know, are you sure you had a website? Are you sure you're on the right domain? And I'm like, literally manifestationbabe.com. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, ma'am, have you ever backed up your website? Because if you backed it up, then we can just restore it. And I was like, no, how do you back it up? And she's like, oh my God, hold on. Let me put you on hold. Let me see if I can still help you. And she put me on hold and I started bawling. I had just made my first 10K, my first evidence that my business was even viable, right? In a larger format. I mean, guys, I was proud of $9,000, right? It's still money made through my business. Obviously proof that people want my content, but this was like my first launch, my first 10K launch. It was like the coveted 10K launch. I had a check representing my 10K launch. I had a vision board representing my 10K launch. I had so many things in my life around manifestation representing my 10K launch, and it just poofed. Or at least I thought it just poofed. And I remember bawling my eyes out, and Brennan was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, Brennan, obviously this is a fluke. Like, obviously this is a sign that it was never meant to be. Obviously this is a sign that I'm not supposed to succeed here. And I remember my thoughts were going down that path, down the path that honestly most of us would go down on when this would happen, right? Everyone says, oh, I would never think that way. But until you experience it, no matter how brilliant you are or how, you know, how much of a phenomenal mindset you have. Like, you are going to entertain negative thoughts in certain circumstances. And that is okay, because as long as you're not taking action on those negative thoughts, it is completely okay to be a human being and have negative thoughts. And I still to this day have negative thoughts, you guys. And I'll share with you in my next story. My next story gets even more intense around another time in my business when I thought that that's it. Like, that's the end. And I literally thought that that was the end of my business. I was like, oh my God, I started panicking. I was so relying on this 10K launch to help me go apartment searching with Brennan. And I thought, oh, 10K is plenty for us to find an apartment, make a deposit, buy some furniture. Like, we're finally going to move out and I'm going to build a beautiful space for myself to really grow this business. And all of a sudden, I just imagined for a second, I entertained the thought for just a moment that I would have to literally repay or refund every single course member that's bought my course, because obviously now it's all fluke, didn't exist, it's gone. I literally had no records of anything. And Brennan looked at me and he was like, Catherine, you are a manifestation babe. Stop thinking that way. You can manifest your business back online. If you always tell me that you can manifest anything into your life, you can manifest your website back up. I want you to visualize it coming back up. And I remember looking at him and be like, oh my God, you effing idiot. Like, that's just not how it works, right? And guys, like, obviously that is how it works energetically. But I was just so paralyzed and so shocked. And I was just bawling and bawling and bawling and bawling. And after about, 2-3 minutes of silence, because the lady she still put me on hold while this is all happening. And I remember immediately, it's like my higher self took over. That part of me that knows that my success is inevitable came over, the part that's connected to the universe, that's connected to truth, that's connected to my heart, said, Catherine, you're going to stay up all night. You're going to rebuild this website. It's going to be as if nothing ever happened. If you did it once, you could do it again. Call off work tomorrow, pretend you're sick, and everything will be back to normal. And I remember intuitively knowing, and it's like, I don't remember if it was a voice or something that I remembered from a book that I read before, or, somewhere, somehow, immediately this truth came into my soul, and I just felt it in my body that this is not a sign to give up, and the universe will never give you a sign to give up. And I decided that I'm not going to give up, and I'm just going to rebuild the whole damn thing. And the moment that I decided, just simply made that decision, that I was going to rebuild my website from scratch that night. Like, I'm not going to bed that night. And when my students wake up in the morning, I will release my course on time as if nothing happened. The moment I made that decision, the lady got back on the phone, and the moment she uttered the words, I am so sorry, but there is nothing we can do, my website re-effing loaded. I cannot make this up, but the screen went from white to everything being there as if nothing happened. I immediately told the lady, I was like, no, actually, wait, it just reloaded. And she's like, what are you talking about? That's impossible. Guys, my host said it was impossible, right? And I was like, no, it's back up. And she was like, I told her about my course, right? She knew that I was like, she felt so bad for me. And she immediately was like, is all your content on there? And I immediately went to go check all of the different pages. And I saw that, yes, indeed, my course was there. And she was like, girl, you are so lucky. You don't even understand. Let me teach you to back up your website right now. And I was like, yes, please. And so she gave me like a 5-minute tutorial on how to back up my website. And I wrote it down. And it was such a weird manual way of doing it. Thank God I have a team to do it now, because it was such a nightmare. And honestly, there were some times in my business where I couldn't back up my website for some reason, and I just kind of like let it go. But then I'd like panic a week later, like, oh my God, what if that happens again? And so I would do it manually again. But I learned that lesson so quickly. hey girl, this is not a sign to give up. This is just a sign that you should probably back up your website. And immediately once I backed it up, I remember shutting my laptop, sending out an email, telling my students, hey guys, the course is ready, enjoy. And they were so stoked. And it was one of my most successful courses at that time. And everyone were so happy and no one ever knew that it disappeared, right? It was like nothing ever happened. I remember closing my laptop down and looking at Brennan. And around that time was when I was really training myself to always see the good in everything and always see the lesson and always see how everything is happening for me. And I looked at him, and I have goosebumps saying this because it's true to this day. I remember saying, imagine if we had a multi-million-dollar business and a $1 million launch or something crazy, and this happened and we lost our website. And he's like, Catherine, that would have been way worse. And I said, exactly. This was a sign from the universe to help me. This is a lesson I needed to learn because I would much rather learn this lesson having 50 students than 50,000. I would much rather learn this lesson during a 10K launch than a $1 million launch. I would much rather learn this lesson having just a couple of courses rather than if you guys have been on manifestationbabe.com lately, like there are a lot of things going on and I have a ton of free resources. I mean, my freebie library alone is an entire website portal. And obviously I have my academies and courses and masterclasses and bundles and all that stuff. Like I am so grateful, so grateful that happened to me in 2017 and not in 2019. And you know what's even funnier is that we did have website problems pretty much up until now, and we still continue to do so because, now we hired a team that kind of helps us quickly solve through problems. Back then it was like, oh my God, me and Brendan were like panicking. We're like trying to figure out, and then we hired Londa and then she would try to figure it out. And so the problems never went away in business. We just knew how to handle them. We just knew that every time it happened, it was another thing that we just needed to know to prevent in the future. And so we would always say, thank God this happened with one student and not 20. Thank God this happened on one page and not the whole website. Thank God this happened at this time in our life and not when we are on the cover of Forbes and there are 1 million people coming to our website a day and oh my God, everything just explodes. And we would always say that, like, thank God, thank the universe, thank our angels, whatever it is that you believe in. I hope you already know that whenever I say God, universe, angels, replace with whatever creative entity that you pray to or you believe in. Because whatever you pray to, whatever you believe in has your back. And it is always looking out for you. And it will only ever give you signs to persevere, to try something different, to try something new, and to keep going. And the desires of your heart are never placed inside of your heart to tease you. You don't have this vision of building a successful business just for the shits and giggles of it, just for the fun and games of it. The desires of your heart were placed there because you were actually meant to manifest them. And I've always believed this somewhere deep inside of me, but having so much proof of it now, and I'll share with you in tomorrow's story, or at least the next episode story. I'm planning on recording it tomorrow. I will share with you another example where I thought that was it. My business was over. My life was over. Everything was a fluke. I'm an imposter. The most negative thoughts were just oozing out of my brain and just swirling around me. And how yet still I was meant to do this because this was always part of my vision. At least when I finally got clear on what I wanted for myself and not what my parents wanted for me. You guys all know that story where I said no to medical school so I can build an online business. And there were so many ups and downs in between there, but I just always knew that my success was inevitable because that's what I decided. And when I repeated that enough times to myself, it eventually became a solidified belief, which turned into a self-fulfilling prophecy, which everything in your life, you guys, is just a belief. It's an opinion that's been repeated over and over and over again inside of your mind until with enough emotion, it becomes solidified like a stone in your brain that this is the way things are, even though it's very moldable. Everything is changeable. Everything really is a belief, right? Everything becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It just depends on what you decide to tell yourself. And this is why I'm so adamant around this affirmation. And I want you to ingrain it in your brain just as much as I've ingrained it into my brain, that even if you do have a challenge or a problem or something happens like this, where your website just disappears into God knows where, that you still know that your dream is not a tease. What's placed in your heart is not there to tease you. Your success is fucking inevitable, and you are always, always, always on the right path. Okay? The moment you believe that is the moment everything will change for you, and you will stop seeing problems as a block or a reason to give up or a reason to stop. Problems are literally like one of my psychics that really helped me when I first moved to LA always told me that chaos meant that I was on the right path, because things need to fall apart first in order to fall back together in a way to give you exactly what it is that you want. And this story really is an example of that. And I'm so excited to share part 2 of another time in my business where I think it was even worse, to be honest, than this one, where I thought it's over. Like everything is done. You know, it's like everything's a fluke. Everything was made up. It was just a dream. I hope you enjoyed your dream. Now time to wake up, right? So I'm so excited to share that episode. But before I get there, before I record it, I want you to go ahead and when this episode is done, go to manifestyourbusinessbydesign.com and get on the wait list to a program that is literally the best program that I have ever experienced, done, seen, and witnessed for aspiring entrepreneurs, struggling entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs who are already successful but want to scale beyond their wildest dreams, like to multiple 7 figures and beyond, and people who are ready to really go big and build a team and start to automate more of their business, which is where I'm currently in. I'm probably in that level where I already have a ton of success, and now I want to automate it so it becomes more effortless, and I want to scale past the 8-figure number, the 8-figure mark, and yet still this course I have learned so much from. So BBD stands for Business by Design, and it is a course by my friend James Wedmore that's coming out in July/August of 2019, which is coming up so soon. And I am one of his affiliates because I literally stand behind this course. And I actually took everything off of my website that had to do with business. And I thought to myself that I would be doing people a massive disservice if I thought that I had to teach this stuff and I had to be the business coach and I had to, be the role model for entrepreneurs and teach them all the strategies and all the stuff and the step-by-steps and whatever that I used to do. And I just decided to pass everything on to James Wedmore because I know that I'm a master at belief change. I'm a master at mindset. I'm a master at manifestation, and that I apply in every single area of my life. And I'm committed to helping you do so with your business. But when it comes to literally having a business in a box formula, and not formula in the way where I'm literally saying that if you just follow one step through 1 through 100, then you will be an instant millionaire, because you guys know that's not how it works. But at least a business in a box that is designed for your energetic imprint and for you to literally discover what is the kind of business that you want to create, what is your mission, how do you want to serve, what problem do you want to solve, and then you just freaking run for it. And there are so many amazing things in that course. And I don't want to spill all the beans because you have to read this damn sales page. It is amazing. And you honestly have to go inside in the back end to experience it. And my team has learned a lot from James. We are currently in his mastermind. Brennan and I have our minds blown every time we go through one of the weekend retreats with James and the other members of the mastermind. And it is just phenomenal. And because I'm an affiliate, there will be a live event aside from James's, because James always has his live event for BBD, but there will be another live event that will have everything to do around the mindset and the manifestation behind business and really help you get your vibration in alignment with being a massive success and a massive influencer and a massive voice in your industry and an expert in your industry, and literally creating a not just business, but also a life of your wildest dreams, and also bringing in experts to teach you all kinds of things. I already have a couple of confirmed speakers who I'm really excited about to share with you because I've learned a lot from them. In fact, I've hired some of them for myself, and they're just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And then as well as some digital goodies. So I haven't decided what those are yet, so I'm not going to talk about them, but I've definitely decided on the live event. And you guys have been begging for a live event, so this is probably right now the only way to get into a live event with me where I'm not just speaking for an hour, but actually with you for a while. And that will also, all the dates related to that and all the details related to that you will get as soon as you're on the wait list. So go to manifestyourbusinessbydesign.com. I kept it very easy and catchy for you. Manifestyourbusinessbydesign.com. Get on the wait list. There's some inspiring case studies that you can read on there, and then I will make sure to take care of you and update you. James has a brilliant, entertaining video series that he always releases around his launches, which I just look forward to and love and everyone loves. And then we'll also be doing our own Manifestation Babe related party stuff around this launch. And I'm literally treating this like one of my own launches, so you'll be taken very, very good care of. I am so excited, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you for getting on the wait list. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for tagging me on Instagram. Thank you for leaving a review on iTunes. And I hope you're enjoying your free manifestation hypnosis that you get when you leave a review. Screenshot it and email it to my team at hello@manifestationbabe.com. And I will see you in the next episode, sharing with you part 2 of Does the Universe Ever Give You a Sign to Give Up on Something? All right, have a fantastic day. Mwah. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you absolutely loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on iTunes so that I can keep the good stuff coming your way. If you aren't already following me on social media, come soak up the extra inspiration on Instagram by following @manifestationbabe or visiting my website at manifestationbabe.com. I love and adore you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. In the meantime, go out there and manifest some magic.